gets the step down.
Dunked it.
Jam with a right hand.
Dunked it on Gatling.
Since you were 5-1 against me as a player, I guess I'll drive. As you remember, back in our day, the camps were hard and they were demanding, and college was hard, but the NBA was harder. And I remember my first coach, Larry Brown, when we had that first month, it was 2-a-days the entire month.
It's funny. I remember first year in the NBA, Bill Fitch, old Celtics coach.
Yeah.
We had 2-a-days, 3 hours every practice, and you couldn't feel your body. And then fast forward 14 years later, I have Mike D'Antoni. We go to Benetton, Italy, and we stay in a vineyard, and we practice maybe once a day. And then every night we would go into Venice, Italy, and take the boats in, and we'd party. So yeah. And Mike D'Antoni, my first year in Phoenix, said, "Hey, this isn't a sprint; it's a marathon." And he goes, "We're not trying to wear ourselves out right now." And I was like, "I'm gonna love it here."
Right. So I went from Larry Brown to Larry Bird.
Okay.
And Larry Bird's practices were actually the most demanding. We ran more just straight sprints than any coach I'd ever played for, college, NBA, but it helped. We were that team. I don't know if you watched The Last Dance.
Oh yeah.
But I was on that Pacers team that lost to the Bulls in 7 games and had them down double digits for a lot of that game.
Best for Hoiberg.
But I'll never forget Larry saying that we're going to be the best conditioned team, and I think we were. And he talked about the importance of home court, and we didn't get it. We lost it by, I think, 2 games, and that's where the Bulls beat us in 7. So everybody held serve in that series. But Larry Bird, just to play for him, to go to a guy that gave a lot of freedom but still had the structure of getting us in unbelievable shape, was pretty cool. Where the hell are we? I don't even know.
So we're at 48th and Cornhusker right now. So if you would go up here a little further, you ever been to the old Misties in
I
Havelock?
have been to the old Misties in Havelock.
Yeah, we're almost there. That was the spot back in the day when my parents, my junior and senior year, they lived in Rapid City, which was 8 hours away. They drove and made every single home game. And that would be their go-to spot, because at that point in time, there wasn't a whole lot of options. So it would be usually on Friday night, I'd go meet Lynn and Walt and bring one of my teammates with me, and we'd go to the old Misties and tear it up down there.
You were in Chicago for how many years?
I was only there for 2 years.
2 years, okay.
2 years, yeah.
And you played for Skiles?
I did play for Skiles.
How was he?
Skiles is very, very demanding.
Yeah.
He's great. As soon as you get off the basketball floor, he has more fun than anybody, and he likes to go out and have fun. But his attitude is, if we want to collect our paychecks, we got to go to work every day.
Yeah.
And even on days where you would say, he's got to give us a day off tomorrow, he'd be like, no, we're coming in.
So what year was your first year in Chicago?
It would have been, I think I was there 2005, 2006.
Okay.
Yeah, that would have been right.
Because my last year in Chicago, I was there 99 to 03.
Okay.
And then I went to Minnesota.
Yes.
And then had a couple really good teams that I was on there with Kevin Garnett as the MVP and Latrell Sprewell and Sam Cassell. So we went to beat Sacramento in 7 games in the Western Conference semifinals. It was an unbelievable game. Garnett went for 34 and 22. So we beat them in 7 and then go on to play the Lakers with Shaq. It was kind of the first super team. It was Shaq and Kobe and Karl Malone and Gary Payton.
Oh, yeah.
It was that group. Right before that series started, we found out Sam Cassell had tore a muscle in his hip.
Oh, gosh.
Sam Cassell was like our Mariano Rivera. He was our closer.
Sure.
Kevin would get us there, and then Sam would close it. And unfortunately, we lost him. I had to play point guard. I'd never played point guard in my life. Tried to bring the ball up against Derek Fisher. He ripped me on the first possession of the game, and the rest of the series I threw it to Garnett and ran to the corner. But we still took him to 6, so that was one of those deals. Looking back, had Cassell stayed healthy, I think we had a pretty good chance of winning a championship that year.
That's unfortunate. We had a chance when I was with first year down in Phoenix, and that was when the series Robert Horry hips checked Steve Nash, and Amari Stoudemire and Boris Diaw, who were extremely important to us at that time. They literally go like 4 feet on the court, and they suspended him for the next game.
That was brutal.
And the next game was in Phoenix, and we lost it, and it was just devastating. And we barely lose that, and I think they went on and they swept the next series, and then swept Cleveland in the finals.
Wow.
Which probably we would have done too.
And that was like the first year where if you left the bench, they were automatic suspension. I remember that.
Well, Amari was standing next to me, and I was so into what was going on the court, I should have dove and tackled him.
So it was your fault.
It was my fault. It's my fault that we don't have a world championship ring.
Yeah, so those teams you had, I remember we had some great battles. You were on the upper end of a lot of those battles, but I remember playing against Chubbuck, just how tough he was, and Jamar Johnson was a great player. Strickland and Boone as younger players. I think even Mikey Moore must have been there your last year, right?
Mikey Moore was with me for 2 years, but he decided to become a player like his last year at Nebraska, and then he went and really decided he wanted to play and changed everything about the way he approached the game and everything else in the CBA. And then he signed a contract with Detroit Pistons and got a pretty big deal for a guy that we never thought was going to play professional basketball, and ended up being known for how hard-working he was and what a great teammate and all that type of stuff.
And that wasn't him early?
That was not him early. He completely did a 180 on that.
Yeah.
So I was happy for him that he was able to do that.
So we were playing, you had left, it was my senior year. We were playing Nebraska at Hilton Coliseum in Ames, and we were getting it handed to us at halftime. And Tim Floyd, who had taken over for Johnny Orr our last year, came in. We had a player named Lauren Meyer. Remember Lauren?
Oh, I remember Lauren Meyer.
Yeah, Lauren was a first-round draft pick in the NBA, 6'10" kid that could really run. And Tim Floyd, when he was upset, would come in and he'd kind of rearrange the locker room. He'd come in, he'd move an eraser and take a marker and move it, and go over and move something else. And you knew he was upset. And then all of a sudden, he looked at Lauren. He said, "Hey, Lauren," he said, "you understand you're getting your ass kicked by a guy named Mikey." And we actually came back to win that game. But once you left, Eric, we actually swept Nebraska. I banked in a shot at right towards the end to beat them at Devaney, and then we ended up getting them back. But those were great teams. Danny Nee did such a good job of getting talent. People ask me a lot of times, they talk to me about the best players I guarded in the Big 8 Conference. I always say the two guys that were really hard to guard my freshman year was Peeler. I thought Peeler was really strong, lefty, versatile. And the other guy was you. I just, the way you moved, that team always found you. You were always a very, very hard player to guard. But those were fun days. Those old Big 8 Conference days were fun.
Well, my wife wanted me to ask this final question, because I thought it was funny. She said, ask him if he dislikes the Hawkeyes as much as all the people in Nebraska dislike the Hawkeyes.
Well, thanks for the question, Kristen. That's a great question. Growing up in Ames, in the state of Iowa, in Ames, that's the rivalry.
Sure.
Is Iowa, they're an hour and a half away. Had some great battles with Dr. Tom's teams and Johnny Orr, and it was a lot of fun. I was very fortunate. We went 3-1 as a player against Iowa, because I grew up, they hated us, we hated them, and to go 3-1 as a player, and then as a coach at Iowa State, we went 4-1 against Iowa. So those were great battles. The rivalry, it's a fun rivalry. It's not like it's heated and you're going to go do something nasty to them, but it's just a good, fun, heated rivalry that was great to play in. It was great to coach in.
Oh yeah.
Do you hate it?
Yeah, I don't like Iowa. I don't like Iowa. And it was, to be honest with you, it was one of the few Big Ten. We made it to a handful of Big Ten games, but we were at that Iowa game, and I was so excited when you guys won.
You texted me. You texted me after that game.
Oh yeah, we were fired up. Back to the Hendricks Center. That was fun.
Back to the Hendricks. Thank you.